Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Maharaj's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Krishna Chaitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jaya Pataka Swami Maharaj on March 31st, 2021 in Sri Mayapur, India.
Shri Guru Dina Tarinam Paramananda Madhav Shri Chaitanya Ishwar The thought continuation of the compilation of Sri Krishna Chaitanya book. Today's chapter is entitled Result of Hearing about the Veda Kirtan Pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Under the section The Veda Kirtan Pastimes of Lord Chaitanya.
The result of hearing about the Mahakirtan pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Under the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 11.213.
সন্ধ্যায় মন্দির অঙ্গনে ভক্তগণ সহ কীর্তন আরম্ভ। সব লইয়া গেলা প্রভু জগন্নাথ আলয়ে, কীর্তন আরম্ভ তথা কৈল মহাশয়।
The great personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then took all of them to the temple of Jagannath and began the congregational chanting of the holy name there. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 11.214.
সকলকে পরিছার মাল্য চন্দন দান, চতুর্দিকে চতুর সম্প্রদায়ের মহাকীর্তন আরম্ভ। সন্ধ্যা ধূপ দেখি আরম্ভিলা সংকীর্তন, পরিছা আসি সবারে দিল মাল্য চন্দন।
After seeing the Dhupa Arati of the Lord, they all began congregational chanting. Then the Padicha, the superintendent of the temple, came and offered flower garlands and sandalwood pulp to everyone. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.215.
চারিদিকে চারি সম্প্রদায় করে ন কীর্তন, মধ্যে নৃত্য করে প্রভু সচিরানন্দন।
4 parties were then distributed in 4 directions to perform Sankirtan. And in the middle of them, the Lord himself, known as the son of Mother Sachi, began to dance. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.215.
Now the Kirtan was organized in a very geometric formation.
So, the Kirtan was organized in a very geometric.
4 sides of the Lord, east, west, north, south, 4 different parties.
4 directions of the Lord, east, west, north, south, were 4 different parties.
And Sachinandan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, was the center.
And Sachinandan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, was in the center. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 216.
অষ্ট মৃদঙ্গ বাজে 32 করতাল, হরিধ্বনি করে সবে বলে ভালো ভাব।
In the 4 groups, there were 8 mridangas and 32 cymbals. All together, they began to vibrate the transcendental sound. And everyone said, "Very good, very good."
Each party had 2 mridangas
So each party had 2 mridangas
and 8 kartals.
and 8 kartals.
So, like this, the kirtan was very well organized.
So like this, the kirtan was very well organized.
And for the sound was reverberating very symptomatically.
And therefore the sound was reverberating very symptomatically. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.217.
কীর্তনের ধ্বনি মহামঙ্গল উঠিল চতুর্দশ লোক ভেদি ব্রহ্মাণ্ড ভেদিল
When the tumultuous vibration of Sankirtan resounded, all good fortune immediately awakened, and the sound penetrated the whole universe through the 14 planetary systems.
Since this sound of the chanting of the kirtan
Since the sound of the chanting of the Kirtan
with Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
with the Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
is transcendental,
is transcendental,
the sound went to the whole universe.
the sound went to the whole universe.
This way, transcendental sound increases
And in this way,
with a reverse echo.
the transcendental sound increased the reverse echo. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.218.
কীর্তন শ্রবণে বহু পুরীবাসীর আগমন ও বিস্ময় কীর্তন আরম্ভে প্রেম উত্থিল চলিল নীলাচলবাসী লোক ধাইয়া আইল
When the congregational chanting began, ecstatic love immediately overflooded everything, and all of the residents of Jagannath Puri came running.
So the kirtan of Lord Chaitanya
So the Kirtan of Lord Chaitanya
was so attractive that it was attracting all the people of Jagannath Puri.
that it was so attractive that it was attracting all the people of Jagannath Puri,
Everyone came running.
and everyone came running.
So this transcendental sound penetrates the whole universe.
So this transcendental sound penetrates the whole universe. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.219.
কীর্তন দেখি সবার মনে হইল চমৎকার কভু নাহি দেখি হইছে প্রেমের বিকার
Everyone was astonished to see such a performance of Sankirtan, and they all agreed that never before had Kirtan been so performed and ecstatic love of God so exhibited.
So Lord Chaitanya would chant. It was spreading the love of Krishna in all directions.
So when Lord Chaitanya would chant, it will fill the love of Krishna in all directions.
So members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness
So members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness
need to perform kirtan like this
need to perform Kirtan like this
and penetrate the whole universe with good fortune.
and penetrate the whole universe with good fortune. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.220.
বেলা নৃত্য কীর্তন বা মন্দির প্রদক্ষিণ পূর্বক কীর্তন তবে প্রভু জগন্নাথের মন্দির বেরিয়া প্রদক্ষিণ করি বলেন নর্তন করিয়া
At this time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu circumambulated the temple of Jagannath and continuously danced about the whole area.
Temple of Nilachal, Jagannath Puri is quite large.
The temple of Nilachal, Jagannath Puri, is quite large.
So Lord Chaitanya he circumambulated the entire temple.
So Lord Chaitanya circumambulated the entire temple.
The single door is known as the eastern door.
Narsingadwara is known as the eastern door.
Also doors on the north sides.
There are also doors on the north side,
West, north, and south.
west, north, and south.
The Lord around the whole temple, chanting and dancing
The Lord went around the whole temple chanting and dancing
with his associates.
with his associates. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.221.
প্রভুর অষ্টসাত্ত্বিক বিকার আগে পাছে গান করে চারি সম্প্রদায় আচারের কালে ধরে নিত্যানন্দ রায়।
As the circumambulation was performed, the four Kirtan parties sang in front and in the air and in the rear. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down to the ground, Sri Nityananda Rai Prabhu lifted him up. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.222.
অশ্রুপুলক কম্পসের গম্ভীর হুঙ্কার প্রেমের বিকার দেখি লোকে চমৎকার।
While Kirtan was going on, there was a transformation of ecstatic love and much tears, jubilation, trembling, perspiration, and deep resounding in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Upon seeing this transformation, all the people present became very much astonished.
Lord Chaitanya ecstatic symptoms, astonishing everyone.
Lord Chaitanya showed symptoms astonishing everyone.
People want to be happy. Lord Chaitanya revealed that the real happiness is Krishna Prema.
People will be happy, but Lord Chaitanya here revealed that the real happiness is Krishna Prema.
His happiness was so ecstatic that everyone was astonished.
His happiness was so ecstatic that everyone was ecstatic. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.223.
পিচকারি ধারা যিনি অশ্রু নয়নে চারিদিকে লোক সব করয়ে সিনানে।
The tears from the eyes of the Lord came out with great force, like water from a syringe. Indeed, all the people who surrounded him were moistened by his tears.
This is not an ordinary crying.
This is not an ordinary crying.
Here it explains the tears are going around, coming from Lord Chaitanya's eyes, like water from a syringe.
So here it is explained that tears are coming from the Lord's eyes as if like water from a syringe.
All the people watching, they all became wet with the tears of Lord Chaitanya.
So all the people who were watching, they became wet with the tears of Lord Chaitanya.
This transcendental ecstasy of Lord Chaitanya
So this transcendental ecstasy of Lord Chaitanya
is something that no one has ever seen before.
is something that no one has ever seen before. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.224.
বেড়া নৃত্য মহাপ্রভু করি কতক্ষণ মন্দিরের পাছে রহি করয়ে কীর্তন।
After circumambulating the temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for some time remained at the rear of the temple and continued his Sankirtan.
I said that doors on each side of the temple,
As I said, there are doors on each side of the temple,
which is like like a big square or rectangle.
which is like a big square or a rectangle.
I was in the rear of the temple, continued to chant and dance.
So in the rear of the temple, he continued to chant and dance. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.225.
চতুর্থ সম্প্রদায়ের মধ্যে প্রভুর নর্তন চারিদিকে নাচে সম্প্রদায় উচ্চ স্বরে গায় মধ্যে তাণ্ডব নৃত্য করে গৌররায়।
On all four sides, the four Sankirtan groups chanted very loudly, and in the middle, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced, jumping high.
So the dancing of Lord Chaitanya was described as tandon.
So the dancing of Lord Chaitanya
Tandav,
was a tandav, okay,
which means a very jubilant kirtan,
which means
jubilant dancing.
a very jubilant kirtan, jubilant dancing,
Dancing, spinning, coming high.
dancing, spinning, jumping high.
Devotees were chanting loud. They were dancing on all sides. In the middle, Lord Chaitanya was jumping and dancing.
So devotees were chanting loudly, they were chanting on all the four sides, and in the middle, Lord Chaitanya was jumping and dancing. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.2 to 6.
বহুক্ষণ নৃত্য করি প্রভু স্থির হইলা, চারি মহন্তরে তবে নাচিতে আজ্ঞা দিলা।
After dancing for a long time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became still and ordered 4 great personalities to begin to dance. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.2 to 7.
চারি মহন্ত, এক নিত্যানন্দ, দুই অদ্বৈত। এক সম্প্রদায়ে নাচে নিত্যানন্দ রায়ে, অদ্বৈত আচার্য নাচে আর সম্প্রদায়ে।
In one group, Nityanand Prabhu began to dance, and in another group, Advaita Acharya began to dance. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.2 to 8.
বক্রেশ্বর ও শ্রীবাস। আর সম্প্রদায়ে নাচে পণ্ডিত বক্রেশ্বর, শ্রীবাস নাচে আর সম্প্রদায় ভিতর।
Vakreshwar Pandit began to dance in another group, and in yet another group, Srivas Thakur began to dance.
These 4 groups, Nityananda Prabhu in one group, Advaita Gosai in another group, Vakreshwar Pandit, third group, and the 4th group, Srivas Thakur.
So these 4 groups, which were led by Nityanand Prabhu in one group, Advaita Acharya in another group, Vakreshwar Pandit and Srivas Prabhu in the other groups.
Our Nityananda is much like Lord Chaitanya.
Lord Nityananda is much like Lord Chaitanya.
His complexion is reddish gold.
His complexion was reddish gold.
He was also tall like Lord Chaitanya.
He was also tall like Lord Chaitanya.
He was dancing. Advaita Gosai, he was dancing.
He was dancing and Advaita Gosai was dancing.
Vakreshwar Pandit, he famous he could dance for 72 hours non-stop.
Vakreshwar Pandit, he was famous to dance for 72 hours non-stop.
Srivas Thakur, he was in the 4th group chanting.
Srivas Thakur was in the 4th group chanting.
So Lord Chaitanya was watching with great bliss how the 4 Mahantras were dancing.
So Lord Chaitanya was watching with great bliss how the 4 Mahantas were dancing. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.229.
কীর্তন মধ্যে প্রভুর অবস্থান ও চারিজনের নর্তন দর্শনার্থে ঐশ্বর্য প্রকাশ। মধ্যে রহি মহাপ্রভু করেন দর্শন, তাহা এক ঐশ্বর্য হইল প্রকটন।
While this dancing was going on, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu watched them and performed a miracle. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.230.
চারিদিকে নৃত্য গিয়ে করে যত জন, সবে কহে প্রভু করে আমারে দর্শন।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood in the middle of the dancers, and all the dancers in all directions perceived that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was looking at them.
Although logically a person can only look in one direction,
Although logically a person can look only in one direction,
Lord Chaitanya, he is capable of everything.
but Lord Chaitanya is capable of everything.
Each group dancing thought that the Lord was watching them.
So each group dancing thought that the Lord was watching at them.
This was a miracle.
And this was the miracle. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.231.
চারিজনের নৃত্য দেখিতে প্রভুর অভিলাষ, সেই অভিলাষে করে ঐশ্বর্য প্রকাশ।
Wanting to see the dancing of the 4 great personalities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited this miracle of seeing everyone simultaneously.
So, since Lord Chaitanya wanted to watch all the great dancers
So since Lord Chaitanya wanted to watch all the great dancers,
at the same time, so he found a miracle that he was simultaneously seeing all the kirtan dancers.
At the same time, he performed the miracle of seeing all the dancers at the same time. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.232.
দর্শনে আবেস্তারে দেখি মাত্র জানে কেমনে চৌদিকে দেখে ইহা নাহি জানে.
Everyone who saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that he was performing a miracle, but they did not know how it was that he could see on all four sides.
Krishna extends himself in various extensions.
Krishna expands himself in various expansions.
When he is ending the 16,108 palaces
When he
in
is
Dwarka,
when he is entering the 16,108 palaces in Dwarka,
he simultaneously enters into each palace
he simultaneously enters into each palace
so that he sees more kirtan dancers.
so that he can see,
It's not difficult for him.
so that he can see all the kirtan dances which are not different from him.
Somehow, people sensed that he was performing a miracle,
Somehow or the other, people sensed that he was performing a miracle,
but they didn't understand exactly what was going on.
but they didn't understand what exactly was going on. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.233.
বর্জলীলায় সখাগণ মধ্যে থাকিয়া কৃষ্ণের পুলিন ভোজনের উপমা. পুলিন ভোজনে যেন কৃষ্ণ মধ্যস্থানে চৌদিকের সখা কহে আমারে নেহানে.
In his own pastimes in Vrindavan, when Krishna used to eat on the bank of the Yamuna and sit in the center of his friends, every one of the cowherd boys would perceive that Krishna was looking at them. In the same way, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu observed the dancing, everyone saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was facing them. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.234.
সন্নিহিত নৃত্যকারী ভক্তকে প্রভুর আলিঙ্গন. নৃত্য করিতে যে আইসে সন্নিধানে মহাপ্রভু করে তারে দৃঢ় আলিঙ্গনে.
When someone came nearby while dancing, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would tightly embrace him.
This is the inconceivable mercy of the Lord.
This is an inconceivable mercy of the Lord,
That while dancing, he would embrace a dancer.
that while dancing he would embrace the dancer. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.235.
মহাসংকীর্তন নর্তন. মহানৃত্য মহাপ্রেম মহাসংকীর্তন দেখি প্রেমাবেশে ভাসে নীলাচল জন.
On seeing the great dancing, great love and great sankirtan, all the people of Jagannath Puri floated in an ecstatic ocean of love.
Haribo!
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 People of Jagannath-puri, they were surrounding the devotees, all dancing.
People of Jagannath Puri, they were surrounding the devotees who were all dancing.
And seeing the amazing dancing,
Seeing the amazing dancing,
hearing the kirtan,
hearing the kirtan
and the loving ecstasy,
and the loving ecstasy,
all the people became overwhelmed.
all the people became overwhelmed.
I never experienced such an ecstatic thing before.
They had never experienced such an ecstatic thing before. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.236.
প্রতাপরুদ্রের অট্টালিকা উপরে কীর্তন দর্শন. গজপতি রাজা শুনি কীর্তন মহত্ত অট্টালিকা চরি দেখে সগণ সহিত.
Hearing the greatness of the Sankirtan, King Prataparudra went up to the top of his palace and watched the performance with his personal associates. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.237.
রাজার বিস্ময় প্রভুপদ দর্শনে উৎকণ্ঠা. কীর্তন দেখিয়া রাজার হইল চমৎকার, প্রভুকে মিলিতে উৎকণ্ঠা বাড়িল অপার।
The king was very much astonished to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kirtan, and the king's anxiety to meet him increased unlimitedly.
So Raja Rudra,
So Raja Prataparudra,
his desire to meet Lord Chaitanya was increasing more and more as he watched this transcendental loving kirtan.
his desire to meet Lord Chaitanya was increasing more and more as he watched the transcendental dancing of the Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.238.
কীর্তনান্তে পুষ্পাঞ্জলি দর্শনপূর্বক ভক্তগণ সহ গৃহে আগমন। কীর্তনের সমাপ্তে প্রভু দেখি পুষ্পাঞ্জলি, সর্ব বৈষ্ণব লইয়া প্রভু আইলা বাসা চলি।
After the Sankirtan ended, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu watched the offerings of flowers to the Lord Jagannath deity. Then he and all the Vaishnavas returned to his residence.
Finally, offering flowers to the Lord Jagannath Baladev, Subhadra, Chakra, one of the Sevas.
Apparently, offering flowers to Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra is one of the
Lord-
sevas.
Lord Chaitanya and his associate watched this Seva,
Lord Chaitanya and his associates watched this seva,
and then they went to their residences.
and then they went to the residences. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.239.
সকলের পূর্বহস্ত বিতরিত প্রসাদ সম্মান, পরিচানিয়া দিল প্রসাদ বিস্তর, সবারে বাটিয়া তাহা দিলেন ঈশ্বর।
The superintendent of the temple then brought large quantities of prasadam, which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally distributed to all the devotees.
Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
enjoys serving his devotees.
enjoys serving his devotees.
He personally distributed the Mahaprasad.
So he personally distributed the Mahaprasad.
The devotees are eager to serve the Lord.
But the devotees hanker to serve the Lord.
This way is a transcendental exchange between the devotees and the Lord.
So this way there is a transcendental exchange between the devotee and the Lord. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.240.
ভক্তগণকে বিশ্রামার্থে অনুমতি দান, সবারে বিদায় দিল করিতে শয়ন, এই মতো লীলা করে সচিরানন্দন।
Finally, they all departed to rest in bed. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Sachimata, performed his pastimes.
This is just one night in the day of Lord Chaitanya.
So this is one night in the day of Lord Chaitanya.
And the devotees participating in this ecstatic kirtan.
So devotees participating in this ecstatic kirtan,
And they had darshan of Lord Jagannath.
then they had darshan of Lord Jagannath,
Lord gave each of the devotee prasadam.
and Lord gave his devotees Mahaprasadam.
The devotees are filled with love of Krishna.
So these devotees were filled with love of Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.241.
পূর্বসঙ্গে অবস্থানকালে সকলে এইরূপ কীর্তন আনন্দ লাভ, যাবৎ আছিলা সবে মহাপ্রভু সঙ্গে, প্রতিদিন এই মতো করে কীর্তন রঙ্গে।
As long as the devotees remained at Jagannath Puri with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the pastime of Sankirtan was performed with great jubilation every day.
So, Krishna Kaviraj is just explaining one day.
So Krishnaraj Kaviraj is just explaining one day.
Every day was something like that.
But every day was something like that.
Ecstatic kirtan, dancing, chanting every day.
So ecstatic kirtan, dancing and chanting every day. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.1.
নিত্যশীল গৌর কর্তৃক বিশ্বকে প্রেমবন্যায় নিমজ্জন অত্তু উদ্দণ্ডং তাণ্ডবং গৌরচন্দ্র কুরবন ভক্তের শ্রী জগন্নাথ গেহে নানা ভাব অলঙ্কৃতঙ্গ সধন্যা চক্রে বিশ্বং প্রেমবন্যা নিমগ্ন
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu merged the entire world into the ocean of ecstatic love by performing his beautiful dances within the temple of Jagannath. He danced exquisitely and jumped high.
Krishna Chairaj is trying to explain a situation.
Krishnaraj Kaviraj is trying to explain the situation.
Actually, you understand that Lord Chaitanya's ecstatic dancing was indescribable.
But actually, we can understand that Lord Chaitanya's ecstatic dancing was indescribable.
And how fortunate were these devotees to be chanting and dancing with the Lord every night.
And how fortunate were these devotees to be chanting and dancing with the Lord every day. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.242.
বেড়া নিত্য কীর্তন শ্রবণে চিত্তবৃত্তি স্ফূর্তি এই তো কহিল প্রভুর কীর্তন বিলাস যে বা ইহা শুনে হয় চৈতন্যের দাস.
In this way, I have explained the Lord's pastime of Sankirtan, and I bless everyone with this benediction. By listening to this description, one will surely become a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Haribo!
Haribo!
So all the devotees who have heard this pastime of Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan
So all the devotees who have heard this pastime of Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan
will have the benediction of becoming a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
they will have the benediction of becoming a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Haribo!
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 Haribo! Thus ends the chapter entitled The Result Anashruti. The result of hearing about the Beda Kirtan pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Under the section The Beda Kirtan pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.